Hey, Brian and Chris here from Resolve Technology, and today we're going to talk about a recent WordPress plugin vulnerability. So it looks like it's infected over 3,300 websites with malicious code. So this is just a reminder that there's a lot of people out there that use WordPress, and WordPress is beautiful for those web designers and even people who aren't web designers to make pretty nice websites. However, we see this a lot, like not everybody keeps those websites up to date, and things like the plugins that make it easier for designers to create these, beautiful web pages, they have to stay up to date because all that code is potentially vulnerable to hackers. So every month, whoever is managing your website, they should update these plugins. Go out to the internet to see if the person who coded the plugin has an update at least once a month. I think some of the updaters, will check every day. And there's some things you can do to automate that so you don't have to actually do the downloading and installing of the plugins, the updated plugins. That's just a reminder that, you got to keep this stuff up to date. It's like anything else in your IT infrastructure. So Chris, maybe you could shed a little bit more light, give us a real world example of what could potentially
Yeah.
happen.
So I did know, I just glancing over this article, I do see, they observe code injection where they redirect to this URL, this .cc, which was, a fake contact form pop-up, it looks like. Here's a real world example. So like, if you don't have something like uBlock Origin, which, uBlock Origin is just an extension in Chrome and Edge. It's a pop-up blocker. I can actually show it real quick here. You'll see this. You can turn it off and on, but that's not going to catch everything. I mean, you can block ads on your firewall. You can use things like a Pi-hole or some of the alternatives like PF Blocker NG. Essentially, you can also, you go to a bad website. Someone, you misclick on a link that you probably shouldn't have. And, you see something like this full screen on your computer and you can't get out of the browser. They got this pop up saying, reach out, Windows Defender Security Center. I have seen ones that look like a fake blue screen. Like they just, they force full screen in the browser and make it look like your computer's blue screening and that you got to call a number. Some sort of spam slash, scam. It's a scam, essentially. They want you to call this fake Microsoft support line.
So
But
maybe we talk a little bit about like what happens. So that number goes most likely to a real number, could be somewhere like India or somewhere else overseas. Somebody with a foreign accent starts talking to you and telling you, they're with Microsoft or whatever, and they need to get into your computer to fix it. Well, put on the brakes if you do get to that point. Don't call the number, first of all. Don't click on anything there. Call your IT people to help you out. But if you do happen to call that number and it starts to sound weird, like this is strange, this doesn't sound right, well, that's because it isn't. And you do not want to allow any software on your computer, allow people that you don't know access to your system, because once they get on your system, they can pretty much do anything.
yeah, they might actually ask for money too. You can look on YouTube on Microsoft, or scam calls. There's a few YouTubers out there that, they actually mess with them back. They pretend to be some elderly person, use a voice changer, and some of them ask for money. Some of them say, "Oh, I need a remote into your system." I believe Microsoft has some built-in support tool, doesn't it? I forget the name of it, but there is a built-in tool that like if you called Microsoft about an issue you're experiencing, they'd use that. I'd imagine these fake ones would need TeamViewer, some third-party tool they're using, some free third-party tool to remote in. They probably wouldn't be using that built-in Microsoft tool as well, or asking for money. That's another thing.
So there's two parts to this video. First part is, okay, keep your WordPress up to date so you can't infect anybody with stuff like this. For example, if you're a restaurant or, a small consulting business or whatever, make sure your website stays up to date because you don't want your customers to get infected with this stuff. and then they end up calling the support number and then their system gets compromised, right? You don't want that to happen. So the main thing is, whether you're using WordPress, whatever system you use, and to design your website, make sure it's constantly up to date. And if you do see something like this, if you go into a restaurant website, for example, or some small business, and you start to see these pop-ups come onto your screen, call your IT people, have them take a look at it. All right, Chris, thanks for your help. We'll talk to you
Have a good
later.
one.
All right.